It's green? Okay.
I blinded myself. What up, people? We're going to talk about a trunk murderess. Well, she's going to talk about it, and you're going to get a reaction out of me, but what the beep?
So the trunk murderess is actually a really, really interesting case.
Give us the smackdown.
Honestly, it takes a lot of twists and turns. You
this.
don't know where it's going. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite. It's because you don't know where it's going.
Okay.
So, the trunk murderess, aka Winnie.
Hi, Angela.
Hi.
Hey, Rated Frog. Welcome to the live. Gonna get good.
So we're going to talk about the trunk murderess. For those of you who haven't heard,
Buckle up.
Her name was originally Winnie Ruth McKinnell, who was born in Oxford, Indiana in January. She was the daughter of a Methodist minister and his wife, Carrie. So she kind of had a rough childhood shortly after she was born. She got pneumonia immediately after her birth, and then she contracted tuberculosis. So, also tuberculosis sticks with you, so keep in mind that she has tuberculosis.
Hence the nickname.
No.
No wonder she's so crabby.
While there's not a lot known about her childhood, she states in letters that were written that she did have a happy childhood, that everyone really loved each other. This is later noted in her adult life with letters. She constantly stayed in contact with her family. She had a brother who was 19 months younger than her. And again, she claims that when they were growing up, they were very affectionate towards each other. They were very close with each other. She also said that her dad was one of the best men that she had ever known, and it was the same for her mom. So her family was like the best people she'd ever known.
It's a tight-knit family, pretty much.
Yeah. She was raised really religious, though.
Oh, okay.
So she couldn't go to carnivals, sports events, movies, fairs, dances.
See, that would suck. I'm sorry. I gotta stop right there. I can't. No. I mean, I went to church too, but I still went to some parties. I went to dances. Did I do carnivals? Probably not. We went to the state fair as a kid.
And apparently it wasn't her parents who prevented her from going to this. It was because her dad was the minister.
Oh.
And they were like ultra religious. As a Methodist group, he had to lead by example. If she couldn't go, if she wasn't going, that was a sign that nobody else could go. So it was kind of like a lead by example.
Let's sneak out.
Well, she didn't, because she loved her family too much.
I'd sneak out.
So that meant that she kept on the outside of society because she was essentially viewed as the weird kid.
Huh.
Because she didn't go to all of these things that all the other kids went to.
Sounds like a common thing for me. Yes, for once I am resting on the street. Normally I'm standing over at the counter, so Rated Frog knows I'm getting to sit down and relax for once. Then we also got little Mikey phones. Can y'all hear us? Just let us know, like, if our mics go dead.
Okay, so.
Meaning if you can, like, barely hear us, because we charge them, and the light's green, but last time we did this, it went dead.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of stories. There's some stories, not everyone knows if they're true or not, but one of the stories I found super, super interesting was that she really wanted a baby. And she knew that she wanted a baby when she was 7. She actually told everybody when she was 7 that her mom was having a baby. And with it being a really small town, with it being a really small town, people came to congratulate the mom, right? Congratulations on the baby. The mom had to tell them there was no baby.
Oh.
She was wishing for a baby.
She was wishing for a baby, telling everybody her mom was having a baby when mom was never having a baby.
Yeah.
She's one of those.
Well, she really, really wants a baby. Because then there's a story from when she's a teenager that she said she had accused her boyfriend of getting her pregnant, even though they hadn't been together.
Sorry. She's one of those. She's one of those. What do you call those people?
Well, it gets.
Wish in one hand, poop in the other. See which comes out fuller. The crap's going to come out fuller because there ain't nothing in this one.
It gets more, like I said.
Get better.
Ruth is wild.
Obviously, crazy.
Her parents took her to a doctor for a checkup, and the doctor said she wasn't pregnant and that she hadn't been with a man before.
That's what you call her, crazy. That's, yeah, pretty much.
So,
Nuts.
so her doctor had said she wasn't pregnant and she had never been with a man before.
Why?
She then ran away from home and she came back. And she said that she had been kidnapped and given birth, but she did not have the baby with her.
Oh, good God.
Uh, J. Dwight Dobkins, right? It seems she was a nervous child or woman. Nervous back then meant crazy.
Mm-hmm. Look it up in the dictionary. You
Because
find your
mind you,
picture.
this is like in the early late 1910s, early 1920s.
Okay.
So
I thought she was gonna kidnap a baby.
I know when I was reading through, I also thought she was going to kidnap a baby.
See, and this is why I told her not to tell me what she's doing, because it's a better reaction if you don't say what's going on and what you can give me the title.
I also need you guys to remember the time frame because I'm about to tell you something that might be slightly upsetting. When she was 19, she married Dr. William C. Judd, a World War I veteran who was 20 years her senior.
Jesus.
There are a lot of accounts that she met him when she was 17.
Mhm.
And they
Okay.
waited to get married until she was 19.
Oh, so they did the legal thing of
Waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What, a whole
They were
year,
married
2
in
years?
1924.
Jesus Christ.
Uh
Normal back then.
yeah,
Angela says.
it was kind of normal back then. Now we would be like, that's a little weird because remember, 20 years her senior, that means he was 39 when they got married.
Okay.
Hello.
Who's it? Oh, Rita. Hey, Whiskers. Oh, one of the cats go by and I missed it. Oh yeah, it was Tataru.
Okay, so she quickly learned that life was not like her parents had portrayed. So she had lived a really happy life, and her parents had basically shielded her from the world. Um, Dr. William Judd was actually addicted to morphine from an injury he had received during his service.
Makes
And
sense because he was in the military.
and he kept it hidden from her until after they were married.
Well, wouldn't you?
That is true.
She's already nuts.
His addiction, well, he didn't know this. She had managed to balance herself out later in her years. I know, crazy.
It's her.
His addiction was so severe, he actually had difficulty finding work and keeping a job. Like he could not be employed as a doctor because
What?
he was that heavily reliant on morphine. So they had to move a lot.
That sucks.
Yeah. His addiction was so severe, he had difficulty finding work and keeping a job. So shortly after their marriage, they packed up their stuff in Indiana and moved to Mexico.
I was about to say something. They, they packed up the truck and moved to Beverly Hills.
We'll get there. LA is involved in this story.
Why does everybody go to LA to do stupid crap?
Who said she did it in LA?
Laugh out loud. Angela.
Okay. So they moved to Mexico where he became a miner. So remember, he was a doctor, a medically trained doctor, and he became a miner.
Miners need doctors too.
He wasn't working as a doctor. He was working as a miner.
Okay.
So the couple in the early years seem really happy.
Just like Tucson is where all the serial killers come from.
Well,
apparently.
The couple of years in seemed really happy. Ruth wrote letters home saying that the couple was enjoying Mexico and that she was learning Spanish.
Brain thought miner, not minor. Mining. Here, we'll say he got a mining job.
He got a mining job.
Do that so we don't confuse more people.
He was enjoying that they were enjoying Mexico. They were learning Spanish, and that she actually really liked the people. After a couple of years of marriage, she would get her wish, and she became pregnant. She finally got her baby.
She didn't have to imagine it this time. It actually happened.
But due to her tuberculosis, she actually got really sick and had to go to the hospital in the U.S., where she sadly lost the baby.
Which sounds about right, because tuberculosis is not fun to mess with. Nope, just me. Laugh out loud. Everyone else following along. Yeah. Yay for the baby.
she she realized that her health
They-
was really bad and that she could never actually really have a child.
Aw,
So even though she really wanted her baby, she could never have a baby.
that sucks.
So after this, the marriage took a downhill spiral. She returned to Mexico, but because of the climate, it seemed to flare up her TB because of the humidity of where they were at.
Jeez.
And she became really sick
What?
at the
So she
time.
went back to Mexico?
Yeah, so they flew her up when she got really sick in Mexico. She went back up to the U.S.
Okay.
Because there was a bunch of tuberculosis clinics in the U.S.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Specifically in
My brain's
areas
trying to
that were
catch up.
really dry.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, my brain's trying to catch up.
So she became really sick all the time. And at this time, William's drug addiction caught up with him and he was fired from his job as being a minor, which caused a lot of stress and put more strain on the relationship.
Well, I mean, number one, okay, the dude's a military vet. He was in the military. He's addicted to morphine. Places are gonna drug test your butt.
Oh no, it was just because he couldn't do the job. It wasn't that they were drug testing him. It's
But
just
he was just out of it too much.
he was out of it too much. He was high all the time, probably stealing from his workplace
Ooh, yeah.
so he could fund his addiction. It was bad. Um she didn't let this show though. She actually never let her family know that her husband was addicted to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And things weren't going well. Her letters were kind of written with a rose-colored glasses.
Comparatively speaking, you said drug tester.
Like a more
New, comparatively
yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
So she was and she wrote letters. She was basically like everything's great, everything's fine. There's nothing going on.
My husband doesn't get high off of morphine and lost like 5 or 6 jobs.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
hey, guess what? Can't have a kid because tuberculosis.
exactly. She didn't want her family to worry about her.
Makes sense.
So in 1930, they decided to informally separate. And she moved to Phoenix, Arizona.
Gotta keep them separated. Sorry. He was there.
So she moved to Phoenix, Arizona, where it was much drier and hopefully better for her TB.
I like that. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
This was an insane time at the time because she would be away from her husband and she would have to provide for herself because her husband was going to a completely different location. He was going to LA.
Oh, hi, Ma. We are talking about the trunk murderess.
Yeah, so you're kind of in the middle of her life story right now.
Yep. We're
She's
going to get to the good stuff here in a few minutes.
uh so again, this was insane time. This was 1930s.
Yep.
So it was in the middle of the Great Depression. She has tuberculosis.
Mhm.
She's informally separating from her husband, who is going to move to LA. And she's moving to Phoenix, and she knows no one here in Phoenix.
She's at work right now. Grandma is.
Huh.
So to catch up, Mom, everything that she just said, that her and her husband informally separated because he was addicted to morphine and couldn't hold down a job. That's why
Yeah.
they separated.
Yeah. So she would have to provide for herself. And separation was also a huge taboo at this time. Separating from your spouse was
Oh yeah,
huge.
that was not allowed back then. If they abused you or did anything any way, shape, or form to you, you had to stay in the marriage. I know about that.
Yeah.
That stuff because we
Yeah,
learned about
it
that.
was better to kill them with a frying pan than it was to divorce them. I'm going to be honest. How many country songs were written in the later times of killing your husband and burying him out in the backyard? Or I don't know what happened. I was just here and all of a sudden he just dropped dead.
I slipped. Ding.
I poisoned his food.
Well, hey now. I mean, there's also stories of that too. What's going on?
Yeah. So she did find a job as a medical secretary at the Gruno Clinic.
What's the Gruno Clinic?
It is a hospital that was in Phoenix, Arizona at the time.
Oh, okay.
She lied to get her job.
No, that's
She
nice.
told her future boss she knew how to type and that she had done it before. Because remember, to be a typewriter, you had to take classes and be
Do so many words a minute.
yeah, you had to be skilled at it.
I can do 26. Yeah.
I think I could do 16. I'm terrible at it. They found out it was a lie really early on.
She get fired.
No, her boss liked her so much and thought that she was a good person, they kept her.
Well, that was nice of them.
Yeah. She didn't do a lot. She didn't do a lot in the beginning. She gradually grew into her job. She worked 6 days a week,
Jeez.
and I think it was like 7-hour shifts.
Good. Okay. Well, okay.
And then after paying her bills, she would send any extra money to her husband in California as he looked for a job there.
Well, that was nice of her, even though they're not together and he's jobless.
Yeah, he was probably using it to buy morphine though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So she actually developed a friendship with two girls that quickly became her best friends.
Okay.
So Agnes Ann Leroy, who was an X-ray technician,
Agnes. I don't know why that name is so funny. Agnes.
and Hedvig Sammy Samuelson.
Oh, what? Wait, what? Go back.
Hedvig Sammy Samuelson. Yes.
What's wrong with that person's name?
I think she was from a different country.
That explains it right there. What? What was the name?
When I looked it up, it was Hedvig Sammy Samuelson, which is Hedvig,
Sammy
Hedvig.
Samuelson. Oh my god.
Sammy Samuelson. But so it was technically Hedvig Samuelson, but she called herself Sammy to make it that it was
would make
more
it easier
understandable.
and not laughable.
Just like Agnes Ann Leroy always referred to herself as Anne.
Okay, that makes sense.
So a lot of the times when I'm talking, because they are prevalent in the story.
Okay.
So
the two best friends are prevalent. Okay.
yeah, so Anne and Sammy are really prevalent.
Okay.
Also,
The name.
yeah, it's
Poor
wild.
kid.
So they quickly became friends and they bonded over moving to Arizona by themselves with no man around the same time. So they were like, oh my gosh, we all moved to Arizona. We all moved to Phoenix by ourselves.
The
no
sisters
men.
out of the traveling pants.
Yeah, exactly. Ruth's husband actually moved to Arizona to live with them. And the four of them, two of them lived together. I think Sammy and Ruth lived together. Anne had her own place. So eventually,
So
when
pretty much Sam and Ruth were
yeah, they were
fed
living
his addiction.
kind of, yeah. But William's drug addiction again caused a lot of problems for them. He was never home. He was either looking for a job or he was getting high. So he was just roommates. Yeah.
Yes, roommates.
So the roommates were also really going through it. They were roughing it. Sammy had TB too, and she actually had to check into a sanatorium in Oregon because things weren't going so well for her.
Not only that, people that have tuberculosis, are they not supposed to live together?
No, so technically, if you have tuberculosis, it's fine if you live together. If you don't have tuberculosis and you live with someone who has tuberculosis, you're super likely to get it because the way you spread tuberculosis is coughing, it being around someone who excessively coughs around them, or drinking raw milk.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
Okay, raw milk.
We're also not going to talk about how there's a TB epidemic in the Midwest right now. One of the states has an outbreak of TB.
Which one? You brought it up.
I don't. I think I hate to say. I think it's Kansas.
Of all places. Yes, Kansas. Got some TB going on.
So be careful.
Yes. Don't. Yep, and another has measles.
Yeah, Texas has measles.
Oklahoma, is there anything you want to catch? Maybe a tornado
actually,
or two?
Oregon has a outbreak of dysentery.
Oklahoma, do you want to catch anything? Because I feel like you're being left out.
I feel like it's the Oregon
I hope
Trail.
you don't get anything. I'm just saying, measles. You got some tuberculosis.
New Mexico also has some cases of measles. It's not just in Texas.
I doubt you all can hear that, but it's the yelling of a game. Ooh, you late. Hey, y'all. Currently eating, so and is the sandwich. Okay, we're good. We're done with that.
Okay.
Enjoy your food.
So Sammy had TB too, so she had to check into a sanitarium in Oregon because things weren't doing so well for her. She wasn't doing well.
And Casino del Sol just had neurovirus.
Yeah, it's a wild time to be alive. So actually, fun fact: Anne moved with Sammy.
Oh.
And
Okay.
Anne actually moved with Sammy to help take care of her and be there for her.
But Sammy doesn't have tuberculosis.
Sammy has tuberculosis and doesn't have tuberculosis.
Well, Anne's gonna get it now.
Yeah, Anne's probably going to get it. They never found out. That's just a hint. They eventually moved back to Phoenix, and all three of them were reunited and all lived in a small apartment together. All three of them.
Yep. Partners.
This led to well, it led to a lot of petty arguments between them because the only one working was Ruth. Sammy didn't have a job and also didn't have a job. So Ruth was providing for all three of them.
Jeez.
Um so finally Anne got her job back and Ruth moved out onto into her own apartment. So Ruth is living on her own. Um
With the with her husband, right?
no, her husband's
Still in California.
still in California.
But I thought he moved in with them.
He did, and then he moved out.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Well,
There was
there's
a man in this story.
well, the thing is he disappears a lot, and so like during this time frame it's unknown if he was living with her or if he was just coming and going. Because as I'm about to reveal,
Dun dun dun.
some shady things were happening.
A
And
big
also my
reveal.
favorite quote. Do you remember the quote I told you that was my favorite quote
No,
last week?
totally forgot it because I slept since then.
This is going to be stuck in your head for the next week. Um so they continued their friendship and actually grew stronger because they were no longer living together,
Mhm.
as they tend to do. Um, well, the two of them, Anne, Ruth, Sammy, would throw parties where businessmen, both married and unmarried, came.
Okay.
These were not normal parties. They were
Okay.
parties if you wanted to sleep with people.
Who did swingers?
Kind of.
Kind of.
It was kind of like and it comes
Gonna have a
from
sleepover.
my favorite quote. John Deere Dre said in a news article.
Scandalous. Leave your keys in the bowl.
John Deere said, and this was written in a news article, Hanky was the name and Pinky was the game. I'm sorry, I can't get that quote out of my
Should
head.
make t-shirts. Pinky was the name. Pinky was the game. Just like Hickey from Kanicki's like a Hallmark card.
So I guess one of the most well-known businessmen during
Mhm.
this time in Phoenix was a man named Happy Jack Holloran.
Happy Jack.
Yeah, he was in his 40s and he lavished all three of the girls with gifts. He was also married and had 3 kids.
What up, Pinky? Angela's gonna tell me that tomorrow. Tell me like
Um,
I'm like nothing spanky.
So he had 3 kids. He was married
Okay.
and he lavished the girls with gifts. But that didn't stop him from partying with the girls, his children, and his wife.
Oh, okay.
So Ruth actually met Happy Jack while the girls were in Oregon, and they had been having an affair the whole entire time.
Oh, okay.
It was said she told him, "I want to get pregnant by you," and he responded, "With you, you are the only thing I want and adore."
Okay. Liar.
She realized he was also partying with Anne and Sammy, and that led her to believe there was something going on between them.
Is there gonna be a murder afoot? I have a feeling.
And at this point, Anne and Sammy thought something was going on with Jack and Ruth, so everyone was really suspicious of each other.
Scandalous.
Now, that concludes the background. We're about to get to the murder portion.
Yeah, the mortar.
The mortar.
We're gonna get to the mortar.
So on October 16th of 1931, Anne
Great
and,
time.
Anne and Sammy invited Ruth for dinner. She said she was busy with work, but really she had a date with Jack.
Happy
He,
Jack wasn't gonna be happy.
he never showed up. So after a couple of hours of waiting, she got upset and walked to her friend's house and had dinner with them. She told them, "Oh, I finished my business plans. I finished work early. I decided to come and hang out with you guys."
You can come out. Or not.
She's like, "I've decided to come out with you guys." She didn't tell them that she was planning a date with Happy Jack.
Okay.
So the party ended at midnight. And they said, "Stay here and don't walk home in the dark." Because again, Phoenix, this is also time they don't have street lamps.
Nope.
So it's dark. And then actually this is just what people suspect. The whole entire thing I've told you is just what people suspect. No one actually knows what happened this night. Because Ruth tells different stories every single time.
Okay.
So Ruth said a week after she was arrested, she wanted to confront Sammy about her bad mouthing Anne. And that Sammy got so upset by this, she shot Ruth in the left hand. And she said she struggled for the gun with Sammy, and it fell. And then Anne picked up an ironing board and started to strike me with it. And while she was being struck, she picked up the gun and shot Sammy, and then she shot Anne.
It's right there. It's right there. Give me a minute. It's right there. Trying to iron out their problems. I told you it was right there. I had to think about it for a second.
So in another version, she and Sammy got into it, and it got so heated, Ruth stabbed Sammy with a bread knife and then shot her while they were fighting for the gun. And then Anne was hitting her with an ironing board again, and Anne was shot. So either way, she shot them both.
Wasn't able to iron out the problems the first time. Had to do it twice.
So those are two different encounters that Ruth tells. Both of them, she gets shot in the hand, and both of them, she ends up shooting Ruth and Sammy. Ends up shooting Anne and Sammy.
Okay.
But this is actually not what the defense thought.
Okay.
The defense thought something completely different. They thought that Ruth had gone, they had all gone to bed that night, and that Ruth went, "You know what? I didn't like both of them." And she ended up shooting both of them in their sleep.
That would be more likely.
And that the reason the reason Sammy had a gunshot wound in her hand was because she put up a defensive hand, went through her hand, and then she was shot again.
Yeah.
So
Though
though some say if you put all of Ruth's stories together, including the version that she wrote to her husband in a letter that was never sent and was used in court after the murder, the story actually goes she stayed there the night, and the next day an argument broke out. She says she set up Happy Jack with a woman from the clinic that she knew had syphilis.
Oh my God. What? Angry much? Jesus.
And she was telling them this.
You
And
don't show up to our date, I'm gonna give you syphilis.
oh no, this was before the date.
What the freak?
And
is it because he was seeing all three of them that
she was
okay.
yeah. And she knew he had syphilis, and she was telling them this, and Sammy said, "I'm going to tell Jack, and he will have nothing to do with you." She said, "I will shoot you if you tell him." And Sammy went into her room, grabbed her gun, pointed it at Ruth, and a bullet grazed Ruth's hand. Ruth then grabbed a bread knife in the midst of the shock and stabbed Sammy, then shot her and shot Anne.
Oh wow.
So this is the story she stuck to later on. And again, it was a letter that was written shortly after the sequence of events. So most likely it's probably the most accurate.
Because she sent that one to her husband in California.
Yes.
But it never got sent out, so he never knew what actually happened because they intercepted it before they could put it in the
It didn't even get sent to the post office. How they find the letter is actually insane.
There's more.
There's more.
That's why we went live. Because there's more. I'm gonna go put some meatballs on while you're
okay.
I'm gonna listen and react over there.
Well, no, I'm gonna need you to be sitting for the part that I'm about to tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about something then.
So yeah. I will tell you how they find the letter is the most interesting because they find the letter just in one of the places she was hiding out, because she ends up being on the run for a little bit.
Well, yeah, because she just killed people.
Well, it's not because she killed people. She goes on the run.
What?
It's the part that came after.
What? You gonna say hi to
Because, I
everybody?
mean, even if you look at the case, you could argue it was self-defense
Come on. Yeah.
because Sammy pulled the gun on her first. So there's a legal argument there.
Well, yeah, because she threatened her and told her. If you
But
say or
that's
do
not the
anything-
part that made this the most notorious case in 1931. At the time this case happened, everyone was writing about it. It was written about in New York. It was written about in New York. It was all over the country. It was the most sensational crime of the time because of what happened after the murders.
Yeah.
So
We ain't got much space in here. I'm coming. What? 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 Say hi.
she's talking to the cats.
That's Mulan. She's in here under my feet.
La 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 la.
So how's everybody's day going while I'm trying to start dinner? At least get it going. Hopefully everybody had a
I'll
good
let you
day.
know if somebody responds.
What happened?
I'll let you know if anyone responds.
Don't you look
I've
cute.
just been cleaning and doing homework. I did all 4 classes homework today in a row. I almost cried.
And I have a new position now, even though it's not a position. And I'm talking about at work.
Oh yeah, the Action Alley locator. Angela said work then Fortnite.
What?
Work then Fortnite. Angela said that.
Oh yeah, she
And
usually
pancakes for dinner.
pink. Oh, I like pink. Oh, I hate pancakes.
Yeah.
I'll say I like pancakes, but I don't.
I don't know if you heard that. Michelle says she doesn't like pancakes.
They were gross. I used to eat them a lot as a kid.
I love pancakes.
I don't.
Actually, you know what? I like waffles. I like making waffles from scratch though.
Waffles.
Angela said, and they don't like you.
God. What did I do to you? Somebody peed in Angela's post toasties.
Angela said she likes French toast better.
Yes.
French toast
I
is
know.
good.
Yeah. What's a hi? Yeah. What's a hi? Good girl. Probably hear that. You say hi? Huh? Oh, it ain't the right size, but it'll work. Ow. Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
You got the meat balls on.
Okay. So we're actually I'm gonna take a drink because
Is
this
one
is
of those
gonna be wild.
one of those things that take a drink when she says a certain word?
I
Murder?
wish.
This would be a very entertaining.
Take a drink every time you're taken aback by something.
Mm-hmm.
Take a drink by every time you're taken aback by something. That's what we're gonna do today.
We'd be very gone. Yes, we would.
You're about to be really, really gone.
And I have to be at work at 7.
So
I'll sleep good.
I labeled this section the trunks.
Okay, and she means cars, not shorts.
No, I mean trunks as in the old luggage trunks.
the nice trunks that are
Yeah,
gonna be so nice
you
anymore.
might not think they're nice again.
I'm gonna kind of second guess and look at them now.
So after the murders, Ruth put
Trouble
the
trunks.
girls in their beds.
What? Dinner is done. Oh, dinner is done in back. Car trunks weren't very big.
No, they weren't. No, but luggage trunks were, and we'll find out how big they were.
Cut you
So
into
after
pieces.
you called it.
Oh shit.
So after the murders, she put Anne and Ruth into their beds, and then cleaned up the apartment the best she could.
Yeah.
And then went to work the next day. Not 2 people, 1 person. She came back to the apartment after she went to work.
Okay.
And loaded both bodies into Anne's steamer trunk, where she then had them moved to her own apartment, where she cut up Sammy's body.
Happy Jack? What happened to Happy Jack? We getting there?
Oh, Happy Jack you'll find out a little bit about what happens to the end of Happy Jack.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you know there's an end.
He actually gets to live a really happy life, even though it's all his fault.
Typical man. Just kidding. That's right. Check.
No, he's not. You're gonna hate him at the end of this.
Oh, okay. Good. I get to hate someone.
So she cut up Sammy's body, put her head, torso, and lower legs, uh, and the remaining body parts into smaller suitcases and a hat box. And she kept Anne's body in the trunk.
Okay, this is how I'm picturing all this going down. Hat box. What are you gonna put in there? A head. So she was ahead of that one. Wow.
Yeah.
And then smaller suitcase?
And smaller suitcases.
So that means it had to have been the arms and legs and those. And the torso was probably in the big trunk.
Yeah. So she booked a ticket to California on the Golden State Limited, which was a train that went from Phoenix to LA, and she checked the trunks into the train under her name.
And back then they didn't open that stuff.
The
But it's probably horrible smelling later.
trains that got to LA, train finally got to LA, and then eventually you meet a man named J.A.M, who was the luggage handler. Now, Maps found a foul odor and fluids, which he thought were blood coming from the trunks. So he went to his manager, Arthur Anderson, of the train, saying, I think there's contraband deer meat on the train.
Deer meat? Okay.
Apparently, transferring deer meat across in trunks was actually really common back then.
Okay. You won't
Yeah.
be surprised when it's not deer jerky.
Yeah. So they waited for Ruth to get off and asked her to open it up. And she said she didn't have a key and that her husband had the key and she would call him and he would bring the key. But when she called, he didn't answer. So she would have to go find him downtown. So they let her call her husband. Um, and he didn't answer. So she goes, oh, he didn't answer. I'm going to have to go find him in downtown LA. And they said, okay, you can go find him.
To
And
never return.
And so she walks off into a giant group. And then she essentially jumped into a car with her brother because her brother lived in California at the time.
Oh.
And the supervisor, shaken by her actions, called the LAPD and they came.
Open up the door. This is the Los Angeles Police Department. Officers work. Open up the damn door. Don't make me break it down.
You're getting loud.
And they came and they forced the trunks open where they found the bodies and purses in the trunks.
Yeah, I mean, don't open it.
And it smelled so wonderful.
Yeah.
And so that made it that the bodies were actually easily identifiable.
Papa, telling me no.
No one home but us chickens.
So the bodies were easily identified because she put their purses in there.
Oh yeah, let's do that because you know what? We're a smart one.
Well, she also put the knife that she stabbed Sammy with and the shell casings from the gun, and everything was covered in bloody fingerprints. This is back then, they didn't have a national thing, but they could match fingerprints. So if they would take fingerprints and be like, oh, here's a fingerprint, we're going to match it. So there was a bunch of bloody fingerprints all over the trunk, and they went, oh, we'll just match it to the killer.
My trunk, my lovely lady trunk. Check it out.
Checking it out.
So somebody was super smart.
Yeah.
Somebody actually got the license plate of the car when she was driving away.
Oh yeah. Well, that would make sense.
Yeah. So the next day, the police brought her brother in. Her brother said, I don't know what's going on. I just picked her up. He said that he wanted to pick up her trunks, and he said that she wanted him to pick up her trunks and throw them in the ocean, which he was surprised and confused about. But he was willing to do it.
Give me that.
He was what's that? It's a TikTok audio. He's like, I don't know where we're going or what we're doing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what we're doing. But I need you to do it with me. Whose
So
car
an
are we taking?
accomplice? Like an accomplice?
Yeah, he was all in to help her. So she told him the less he knew, the better. The better it would be. He said that he was suspicious and that he actually looked into the suitcase and saw a barred body part that nearly made him faint. So she managed to take the hat box and the smaller suitcase off of the train with her,
Well,
but
yeah,
she
because
left the heavier trunks there.
when you get onto a train, John and I just found out last year that you have carry-ons that you can take onto the train that you don't have to check in, but the other luggage you do have to check in because it has to be taken by the train crew to put it on the train.
So she took the suitcase and the hat box with her and had body parts with her, and she told her brother to throw them in the ocean. I actually think he did throw them into the ocean after he saw it.
I know Disneyland has a Hatbox Ghost.
I don't know. Uh, so he drove her downtown, gave her a $5 bill, and then left her on the side of a busy road.
Wow, a $5 bill. Well, back then
Yeah.
money wasn't.
He said, I hope she gets away. She had to do it, you know?
No, you don't know. Do you know the whole story of what your sister did? No, you don't. No, I'm gonna.
He
No.
was really like, I got my sister's back no matter what. She can
Okay,
do no
I'm
wrong.
gonna. Leroy, don't have my back. Just let me fall. It's okay.
So she actually hid out for several days.
It's like okay, because I know her family was a tight knit family. We got to go back here. Her family is a tight knit family. Understandable. I'm sorry. I will not have my siblings back if they do shit like that. I love you.
Her brother was not the only one who said that she did what she had to. Her
No.
mom actually said that on the stand when she was at court.
No, you're no, no. There's no. I'm sorry. You don't do what you have to do. Back then, okay, whatever. But no, nope, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, nope is gonna no. My
So
answer is no.
so Ruth actually hid out for several days. She actually says that she walked into a hospital and fell asleep on a bed for 4 days.
I'd be saying put her in the crazy house. That was she's. It doesn't make any why. You're pretty much like okay. Number one, you became an accomplice because now you had the head and the smaller body parts in your car. You picked her up. You have that, and then you throw it in the ocean. Oh, in the open. Well, you're in the open by the ocean. So now he's an accomplice, and then all they can say is, "Oh, she had to do what she had to do." No, she didn't have to do it. She did it because she got jealous because her friends were also sleeping with Happy Jack, the dude that had a wife and children. No,
Yeah.
this no.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with Angela on this one. Stick her ass in the nut house.
Well, we'll get to that. So
What is wrong,
so
John?
she walked into a hospital, according to her,
These are gonna be good. I'm just
laid
gonna put this late. This is good. This is gonna get good.
laid down in a hospital bed and fell asleep for 4 days. And no doctor, no nurse, nobody just checked in on her. She just walked into a hospital and fell asleep on a bed for 4 days.
Maybe it was something that they were used to. Maybe like drunks and druggies did that. And so they
Maybe.
maybe thought that she was just.
So, all while she was on the run, there was a lot of media coverage,
Mhm.
and there were so many people who didn't believe she'd do it alone and that she had to have some sort of help.
Brother.
Her
Possible.
no, like when it came to the cutting up of the bodies and the moving of the bodies, getting them to the train.
But then who would help her with that? We're gonna find out, aren't we?
I will get there. So her husband wanted to distance himself from the idea of being the partner. So he actually went to a reporter and said that she needed to contact him and call him to tell him if she was okay. Um, Trying to be like, hey, this is how she is, who she is, trying to get in the media, being
Give them like
trying,
a rundown.
yeah, because the police wouldn't let him help. He wanted to help track her down. He wanted to find her,
But
but the police would not let him help her.
because it probably will be like an emotional
Yeah.
thing.
So They also called this the greatest police hunt of all time during this time period.
Oh, okay.
So she apparently woke up and left the hospital to call a doctor to deliver a message to her husband. She wanted to call a doctor to give the letter to her husband. The letter I mentioned before where she wrote what occurred.
Okay.
The doctor said, "No, Ruth, I know you're on the run. Turn yourself in."
So he tried to get her to at least turn herself in because.
Yeah. She then started walking around aimlessly, and she overheard a woman say that Ruth's husband wanted her to call this number, and she did. She found a phone, she found enough coins to call, and she called him. He met, and he told her in Spanish that they're going to meet her with an attorney and that she had to turn herself in.
Okay.
So she actually turned herself in at a funeral home. They met her in front of a funeral home and arrested her.
Okay.
So part of the terms of turning her in was that she would get psychiatric help.
But apparently she needs it.
But instead they put her in a jail cell. The state thought it would have an easy case. Well, I'm also going to mention uh oh, I wrote it. I was smart. I was real smart when I wrote this. So the state thought they were going to have an easy case.
Uh-huh.
That she had gone into their rooms at night and just shot them. But she ended up her claiming self-defense in that letter threw a wrench in the plan, especially because she had scratches on her arm and face. She had a gunshot wound in her hand, and the bullet was still in her hand and actually it had gotten gangrenous.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
So the police found the letter mentioned earlier where she had previously been hanging out.
Okay.
So they were like, "Oh, cool." She wrote that she got to get it to it. So when she wrote the letter, she actually, when she was talking about cutting up the bodies, she said that she said to herself repeatedly, "I gotta get to it unless I'll be hanged. I gotta get to it unless I'll be hanged," repeatedly.
Huh.
She also said that she did what any decent woman would do.
No. I'm like, I can't. And then I'm gonna try to. Nope.
She tried to fight extradition, but was sent to Phoenix. And over 3,000 people waited to see the trunk murderess as she arrived.
Like, woo, yay, or hanger.
Like I said, this was the most sensational murder of the time.
Okay.
So everyone was hearing about it. The county attorney said that he wanted to try her separately for each murder. So she was found not guilty on one. She would get charged on the second, and he wanted to give her the death penalty.
Okay.
She firmly believed that it was Jack's fault because if they had never gotten together, they would never have fought, and there would actually be no reason to fight because they would have never be fighting over a man.
Way to go, Jack.
Yeah.
All your fault. God. Not the fact that she's a little.
So right before the trial, she actually changed her tune. She said, "Jack still loves me, and he would save me," saying he had written to her saying he would visit me, but there's a warrant out for his arrest. There was no warrant out for her arrest. She was just kind of being delusional.
Oh, so she went back to the
He was manipulating her.
dreaming it. Okay.
He was saying, "I still love you. I can't go be with you." He was trying to make it that
The psycho.
she essentially, yeah. Actually, a lot of people thought Jack. I don't think I actually mentioned it. Thought Jack was actually her accomplice for a good little while. Because they said no woman would have the strength to cut up a body. No woman would have the physical strength to do what she did.
Yeah,
So
if you
she
have enough,
had to have a man's help.
if you have enough, whatever. Don't get me started. If you have enough adrenaline running through your body, you don't need no damn man.
Yeah. So
Come on.
yeah, so they were like, "Oh, she couldn't have killed him. She has to have had a man's help." And so a lot of people thought Jack was a man's help. Jack actually got his own trial because so many people believed it, and it was labeled a mistrial. He was set to go because there was no evidence stating that he helped her.
Of course, there's no evidence because he didn't help her.
Yeah. So,
He might have been the cause of her going nuts to kill them.
saying, yeah. So basically, she was starting to get delusional. The trial was
Starting?
the
Starting?
uh,
Well, hold on a minute. Wait, no.
wait till we get to the trial.
You said starting.
Yeah.
In the beginning, she was kind of getting there already.
When I say she goes crazy.
That's so she goes more.
Yes, it gets wild. This is the court case. So the trial was interesting. The prosecution said she was trying to keep her affair secret, killed the women in their sleep. And this was actually supported by the neighbors and the letter Dr.
The wife had to have known that she was having her husband was having an affair.
Maybe. The neighbors of them said that they saw the lights go off at 10. They heard 2 loud gunshots at midnight, and the lights were still off. So they were like, "Oh,
It took her 2 hours. If the lights went out at 10, they didn't hear a gunshot until midnight. Was she drawing up a plan of what she was going to do?
maybe that was the defense's
Or was
idea.
she I mean, what the 2 hours? If you're going to kill somebody, you're going to kill them right away. You're not going to wait the 2 hours unless
Maybe
you're
she was waiting for them to go to sleep, and be like asleep.
that, and then drawing up a plan of, oh, this is what I'm going to say. My story is like go over a story in her head, which makes her even more delusional because
Yeah.
there was more than one side to the story because she couldn't keep the story straight.
Yeah, so but that's what
My
the
brain
defense was
hurts.
arguing. Yeah, well, that's what the defense was arguing, right? Well, Dr. Catton, who was the doctor she was seeing, they were trying to see if she was clinically sane
No,
or clinically insane.
insane.
So
In
Dr.
the
Catton
midbrain.
was called, and before he reached the witness stand, she yelled at him, saying, "I won't have you near me." She started screaming at him and yelling at him as he was walking up. She also jumped out of her chair. I can't speak. Jumped out of her chair saying, "You talked about me and you stay away from me." Probably because he had talked to the prosecution and the media. So she was like, "You talk to people about me. I don't want you near me." And she started yelling and screaming at him. He did eventually come back, but he came through a different door where he was not so close to her
Okay.
because they were worried that she was going to jump over the table and attack him.
Oh, jeez.
Um,
She was showing her true colors.
he stated that he believed she was sane. She was completely sane. And she could handle jail time. This is what
Okay.
people. So this is exactly what people wanted because this was the biggest crime in the U.S. at the time.
Okay.
So people were excited to hear about Happy Jack. They wanted to hear about him. They wanted to talk about him.
I don't want to talk to Jack.
He was actually a witness for the prosecution.
Okay.
But surprisingly, he was never called to the stand.
Okay.
And when asked why Jack was not called, the attorney said, "I must have overlooked him. He was my witness, I'll admit that."
How do you overlook a witness? They're on the witness paper. You give it to the judge. You give it to the other people in the court. How do you overlook someone? Is he a leprechaun? Is he a midget? No. Grown ass freaking man. How do you stupid people in this?
It's I'll admit that.
No, this is the. Let me go back to the 1930s and punch him in the face and see if he overlooks him again.
He's the invisible man.
How do you overlook someone?
A lot of people said that him being called to the witness stand wouldn't add anything. They just wanted him on the witness list to get under Ruth's skin.
No, I would have brought his asset because if you bring him in, then you're really gonna get under her skin.
Well, this is right about the time that Ruth actually started to get worried that she was going to have to serve jail time and they wouldn't prove she was insane.
Oh, boo-hoo! Shouldn't have done what you did.
So she broke free from the jail matron's guard and fled into the hall, supposedly yelling at her brother quickly, "Get my attorney, the sheriff is telling the witness what to say," as she was running. So I want you to picture someone running down the hall, looking at you as they're running, saying,
"Get my attorney.
Get my attorney, the sheriff is telling the witnesses what to say," as she's running towards an exit.
No. She gets a big fat no.
She was captured and was brought back to the courtroom. Nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to her because of that outburst.
Not like now if you run out that you're fleeing.
Yeah. The defense used the irresistible impulse doctrine and basically said it was temporary insanity, saying she was not sane while she did it. The prosecution said that she was sane and she was aware of her actions.
She was not sane when she killed 2 people. She was not hurt. My God.
Well, now I want you to picture you're in a jury box.
Okay.
You've watched all of this happen, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Prosecution gives their defense. She's completely sane. She knows what she did. She killed these women in cold blood.
Yeah, thank you. Hello.
The defense holds you hostage. I'm going to say holds you hostage for 6 hours as he gives his closing speech. His closing speech was 6 hours saying she was not sane.
Okay.
6 hours.
She knew what she was doing. Okay. She's acting insane, but I also think she is partially insane.
He's insane for holding him for 6 hours. His closing was 6 hours long.
No, dude, I'd be falling asleep. I need a nap.
6 hours is insane. Exactly. It's not sane.
Oops. You see this one? Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, that's stupid.
The
6
jury
hours?
found her guilty of first-degree murder.
Okay, good.
Which is a little confusing because first-degree murder means that you have to show like intent. Like everything has to be pre-planned out.
He drank the Kool-Aid. Obviously.
That everything had to be really pre-planned out. I think in Arizona back then it was a little different.
But then that would be considered a pretet. Oh my lord, you passed it off on me.
Yes, I did.
Premeditated murder.
Yeah, premeditated. That she had gone specifically to them to kill them. That's essentially what first-degree murder is.
She pretty much did. She went to them when they'd be sleeping. Took her 2 hours.
Well, that's what it. Well, again, we don't actually know what happened because it could have been that Sammy pulled a gun on her and it was all self-defense because there were scratches on her.
Well, yeah, you got scratches
and the bullet in her hand.
And then Sammy or whoever put their hand out has a defense.
Sammy has the defense wound, and so does Ruth. Ruth had the bullet in her hand that had become gangrenous. So
Okay.
it was a little bit of a
who done what where.
Exactly. Nobody knows. The only person who knows is Ruth, and she's not really a reliable source.
No, I wouldn't believe her.
So when they found her guilty of first-degree murder, Ruth showed no emotions during the announcement other than opening and closing the bandage that was on her hand.
Oh, okay.
They filed an appeal and they lost. I think in Arizona it's an automatic appeal because in Arizona her sentence was the death penalty. So in Arizona the death penalty I think grants you an automatic appeal. So she was actually found mentally ill 72 hours before her death. So before they were going to put her under and kill her for the death penalty, they found her insane. She then went to the Arizona State Hospital, where if she was eventually found sane, they would fulfill the death penalty.
Okay, so it took these people. Okay. I'm just gonna it.
It's gonna get a little bit bumpy.
Put on your seatbelt.
For the next 12 years.
You know when you start saying it's gonna get a little bumpy, I want to buy a helmet and put it on.
For the next 12 years, she escaped 6 times. And every time she was found and returned.
She didn't do a good enough freaking job. Houdini can escape faster, quicker, and be
apparently
gone.
On some of them she had outside help. She had inside help. She got people who gave her keys.
Jeez, the auto appeal.
Oh, so they just appealed it. Okay, so they decided to appeal it. Nice, good to know. So after 20 years in the hospital, she asked to change her sentence to life in prison instead of the death penalty, and it was approved.
Okay, I mean,
at this point, she's been in prison for a little bit. It happened in 1931. It's now 1951. The sensation has died off. Not everyone is as angry as it.
Some people may not get over it that.
Now we're going to get to the fun part. In 1962,
Yeah.
she made her 7th escape from the Arizona State Hospital, where she went to California and worked as a live-in maid under the name Marianne Kane.
Okay.
After 6 years, she was found and brought back to Arizona.
Hey, I mean, this time she was away longer.
Well, in 1969, she was granted parole and promised to fade into existence. She actually went back to work as a live-in maid for the couple she worked with previously.
And that'd be baffling if you knew they came and got her, and if you found out her history, but then you bring her back into your home.
Her story's not done yet.
Oh God.
The husband of the couple she worked for passed away.
Oh, okay.
And so Ruth sued the wife for $4.8 million.
Angela.
$4.8 million in 1982.
Okay.
Saying she was kept as an indentured servant for 11 years and was never paid for her work.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I mean, smart on her part.
The court agreed with her
Jeez. Okay.
and gave her a settlement of $225,500.
I mean, if she wasn't getting paid, there's not much you can do about it.
After that, she kind of faded into existence,
Oh wow.
and she eventually died in Phoenix, Arizona on October 23rd in 1998.
Dang, I was 18.
I was born September 1st, 1998. So September, October. I was a month old. I was almost 2 months old.
Wow. I mean, okay. Nut job lady that one was hoping to have a baby, saying her mom did, but mom was never pregnant. Then turns around and says, "And my boyfriend got me pregnant." Nope, I ain't pregnant. I'm just a psycho. Kills her two best friends because they were in love with Jack, because Jack was spending time with them. I'm just summing the story up. And then he's like, no, I don't want nothing to do with this. She waits till at 10 o'clock at night, lights go out, waits 2 hours, then kills the girls.
Or she got into an
Or she
argument
got
with
into an
him,
argument with them.
where she stabbed Sammy after Sammy pulled a gun on her, and she shot them both after Anne hit her with an ironing board repeatedly.
Which is, I don't know how that's going to work, help iron out your problems. Because obviously it didn't. Because look at where she ended up.
The ironing board got me. I'm gonna be honest. You have a news reporter writing about the parties that these girls would throw, saying Hanky was the name and Pinky was the game.
Yeah, I don't get the ironing board. Why would you pick an ironing board? Those things aren't light; they're heavy.
Well, but I think they back then had portable ones.
Well, yeah.
I think she was bored of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, she was bored.
Um,
But even then,
and then in the
heavy.
courtroom, she tries escaping. Nothing happens to her. She like runs down a hallway.
But now
She escapes the mental institution 7 times, and one of them she's gone for 6 years.
Again, that's pretty. I mean, it's pretty smart right there to be gone for 6 years and not get caught.
Yeah, and like apparently the other
Mr.
time she escaped was like wild, like walking like the train
Yeah.
tracks and everything like that. There's not much known on her other escape attempts other than the one where she escaped for 6 years.
But the whole fact she works for a family and works for a family, gets picked up. They don't say nothing that we know of, apparently. But she gets back out, goes back to the wife after the husband dies, and then sues the wife for money she was never paid. Smart on her part, because obviously they never did pay her.
Yeah, I guess Happy Jack died a couple of years after she went to prison.
Oh, wow.
If I remember correctly, Happy Jack died shortly after.
Was he heartbroken?
No, I don't think he was heartbroken. It might be his wife found out and hated him. Took a skillet to the head.
That's what you get, Jack. That's why what?
And it was so sad because she had a good childhood too. She's not like these other murderers you see where they had terrible childhoods. She had a good childhood. She
Yeah.
even says
it was a loving household.
Oh yeah, the syphilis where she tried to give syphilis to Happy Jack.
That's too funny.
That's taking petty to a whole other
Here,
level.
honey, here's some syphilis.
That's taking petty to a whole other level. That's
I mean, you're shooting blanks. Because obviously Jack didn't get syphilis.
it's wild. Yeah. When I first found out about Ruth, I was like, this has got to be a fictitious story. There's actually people who believe that Winnie took the fall for it and it was actually Happy Jack. I think there's like a whole entire theory that it was Happy Jack who murdered the girls and she ended up taking the fall for it.
I mean, we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Nobody's ever gonna know what happened because there's too many stories.
Yeah. She never kept her story straight.
Which usually people that lie can't.
Yeah,
They
and
always switch it and change it.
the only people who were there with her, well, they're no longer here.
They probably met her somewhere after she died.
Yeah, probably. They were probably real happy with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
But yeah, no, that is the story of Winnie Ruth Judd,
The trunk murderess.
the trunk murderess. She was actually given that title by the media.
Kind of wonder if you're gonna find a story that's gonna top that one.
Depends. Do you want a single murder or do you want a serial killer?
Ooh, what do you guys want? Ask them. Put in the comments what you want.
Because I can do a kidnapping case that was like insane.
Can do what'd you say, a single murder?
Yeah, I could do like somebody who murdered somebody. Just a wild case like that.
Thomas says cereal.
A serial killer.
Come
Have
on,
you-
Rated Frog. Angela says cereal. What about
Okay.
you, Rated Frog? I don't even know how many people are watching. I think one person's watching and Rated Frog is doing something.
I think.
Well, you guys tell us what you want in the comments, and we will.
Yeah.
Or what I can do is I can do a poll, so I can let her know as soon as possible. I'll put it on Facebook for people that I work with and are on Facebook.
Yeah, let me know because if it is a serial killer, I do have a serial killer in mind. A serial killer that was based in Louisiana. A serial
I'm
killer.
a bayou killer.
Serial killer that killed men. He killed men.
I'm gonna call him the bayou killer.
He
That's
was
gonna
not.
be
He was not referred to as a bayou killer. He was referred to. I think he was referred to as oh, he was referred to as a slasher.
he's a bayou slasher.
Yeah.
We're gonna call him a bayou slasher.
Fun fact: he killed for years, and the police never connected the dots. He killed during Katrina.
Hoodoo. Oh, okay. She didn't tell me about this one, but she hinted.
John
I don't
also
know.
mentioned him, and that's why he's on my head right now. I could either do that, or I could do a really, really long one of Ed Gwynn. If you really want a long, long one, because Gwyn is one of those where it never gets old.
So here's what I'll do. I will do a poll on YouTube. I will do a poll on Facebook, and you text me
The names.
the names, and I will post them and see what everybody goes for. Oh, he's fun.
Oh yes, Gwyn is so fun.
And so that way we can.
Yeah, that way, because I'll do the kidnapping too. I'll include the kidnapping. I'll do
Jack
the murder.
is my fave though. Jackson.
We'll get to Jack. We're gonna do Jack, and then I think after Jack, we're gonna do H.H. Holmes because there's theories that H.H. Holmes and Jack the Ripper were the same person. It's been discredited because they have found out who Jack the Ripper is, but there is still that theory that they are the same person. Also, their kill types are not the same.
Yay! It's just all like, yeah.
So we'll do that, and I'll give you the names. I'll bring up.
Give me 4. Just do 4.
I'll do the kidnapping case, and
I
I'll
think-
also do. I'll do a case where I recently heard about it. Apparently, the killer keeps coming up for parole, and the family keeps fighting against it.
Don't forget the Boston Strangler.
Oh yeah,
Was also speculated.
yeah, that's true.
Well, if you do 4 names, I think we should save Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes for later in the year.
Yeah, we're gonna save them for later. We're gonna save them for spooky time.
That's gonna be
In
September,
September.
October.
Yeah,
because it's gonna start
yeah, spooky season.
coming down. Yes.
And I'll mention who actually they have found out who Jack the Ripper is. For those of you who haven't,
I think
who isn't a ripperologist.
I think yeah. I think that each year we'll come up with try to do a new person
Yeah.
for spooky season.
But I will, yeah, the single victim, she was, the victim that I could talk about is,
You're right. True. It is true. Spooky season is year round.
it was a brutal killing, and the murder, it goes up for parole every year, and
Okay.
the family has to fight against him getting parole
Oh wow.
because
Okay.
because also it's just a messed up case. So there's a kidnapping, there's that one. There's a
Ooh,
Louisiana.
Black Dahlia is
Well, the
good.
Black Dahlia is good.
That's a good one. That is a good one. I don't like that one, but because it's sad what happens to her. That one I do know about. So you're
Yeah.
not going to
Well,
surprise
might
me.
also talk about the Cecil Hotel eventually.
Know about that one too. So that one
That
won't
one's
surprise
wild.
me.
But that one we'll talk about the Bayou Killer, and I'll get his actual name, the name that they referred him as, and then Ed Gwynn, because you can never go wrong with starting about the most used man in popular media. I mean, you have
The way you two are talking about this guy, and I know you're not saying much. I'm kind of interested to know about this person because I don't know nothing about this
honestly
person.
because he's based off of for Psycho. The movie Psycho, Norman Bates is based off of Ed
Okay.
Gwynn.
Okay.
You have, I think even Leatherface might be also based off of Ed Gwynn.
Oh, okay. I've never seen
Virtually every single serial killer,
Never seen either one of those movies.
any time you see a killer that is way too attached to his mom, that's pretty. You can bet he's going to be based on Ed Gwynn.
Oh wow. Okay.
He and his mom had a way too unhealthy
Okay.
relationship.
So send me 4. Yeah, apparently. He leaves her up in the freaking
It
night.
was
She's
mommy
all
and him.
crippled and dead and looks.
No,
Send me 4.
I'll send you the 4.
Send me the 4, and I will post them on both. Do a poll. I have to remember how to do a poll on
Because
here.
fun
'Cause I've
fact,
done it
Ed Gwynn
before.
isn't actually a serial killer.
Fun fact. Don't tell me no more.
I won't. But fun fact, just so y'all know, Ed Gwynn technically not classified as a serial killer because he didn't kill 3 people.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the classification. You have to kill 3 people the exact same way.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
Just kill 1. Oh, it was nothing. You have to kill 3 to become something. That's really beeped up. Yep. So
I mean, you could have a spree killing.
copycat.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 4. I'll post them on both. I'll make sure they both match. So that way one doesn't say like 3 of the same name and 1 off.
Yeah,
And then I'll do the other ones. He was a mass murderer. Do you love how we're both doing this at the same time just to read?
well, technically Ed Gwynn was not a mass murderer. Technically, judging off his case, he was just somebody who had an unusual obsession with dead bodies.
And become a mortician. Is it mortician?
Yeah, mortician.
Okay, thank you. I got it
Fun
right.
fact also, I'm going to mention this. I found out recently.
I'll forget by next week.
I found out recently that a lot of the people in, like, in the 1920s and 1930s where they're talking about people who run the mortuaries and who are coroners, some of them didn't have the job qualifications to be the coroners. They were put there by their family members because it was classified as a position of power. So they'd be like, you know what? I'm going to give my cousin the coroner position.
Yeah.
Even though he had no idea how to be a coroner.
Bright light. Oh, sorry.
And it wasn't until recently they made rules and regulations that you had to actually know your way around a body.
I was gonna say because you got to take anatomy and all that fun jazz. If you don't
Yeah,
know the
now
anatomy
you do.
of body, yeah, I'm trying to get the words out, but it's not happening.
Yeah, now you do. Back in the day, you didn't always have to.
True. Now it's like you have to. All right, kids.
Too many mistakes.
This was fun because yeah, that she gets a big fat no. That's all she gets from me. No.
The trunk murderess. The most insane story I've heard more insane stories. But most insane female murders I've heard of. Just the constant escaping,
I never.
the
This was fun. Laugh out loud. And by the way, is
Bayou Strangler. Yes.
Okay, there we go. I'll go
Bayou
with
Strangler.
that. Okay, go with that. This was fun. What do you mean, Thomas? Fun?
It was
Because you were
fun.
late. You didn't get to hear the fun parts. It's your fault.
When she was 7 and told everyone her mom was pregnant.
Yeah. Dude, he can go back and watch it. Yeah. So it was fun. It was actually fun because of the natural reaction. See, now do you guys like that? Natural reaction. She doesn't tell me nothing about what she's going to read and
I
what she's
give
going to
her
go off.
slight tidbits.
True, I was late. Laugh out loud.
I give her slight
All is
tidbits.
forgiven because
Like
you were eating, so I forgive you.
like when I did the whole I told her because I started writing it last Monday, and I was like, Hanky is the name and Pinky was the game, and she forgot it.
Miss all
So
the crazy and now realizes I love this shit. So does this one. Okay, let me give you a little tidbit on why we're doing this podcast.
Yay.
Okay. I wanted to do this because she loves talking about this stuff as well. And not everybody does. I could be coming home from work and she'd be like, "You want to hear a fun fact?" Not really, but go ahead. And I'm not being mean. I'm like, I just had a hard I don't want to hear nothing. But I'm like, go ahead. I let her get it out. I let her get it out of her system. This is why we're doing this podcast. Do you love this? Just the fact that we have to scoot closer?
Yeah.
Aw, you two are so cute. Makes me want to puke. Um, I'm kidding. Not. No. But I wanted to do this podcast because it helps her get out the things that she likes. You guys always hear me talking about Disney this, Disney that, which we will talk about Disney. I'm so give you a heads up in July because it's coming up to the 70th anniversary. Um, the Walt Disney Company has been around for 100 years. Okay, Disneyland has been around for 70, so we will get to that. You too. Stop. I'm gonna do the throw up emojis on here. You keep going like that. I'm kidding. Love is cute.
And see, that's the thing. I don't know a lot about Disney. And so when she does hers, I'll be doing my natural reactions.
There's a lot. There's a lot that people don't know that have happened, but we will get to that because I got a lot of research to do, and I can probably start mine now just to find research. But this is her outlet. This is her outlet to share what she knows and what she's knowledgeable on, and things that I don't know. I didn't know anything about the trunk murderess. My type of stories are Edgar Allan Poe. Um, oh my God, Sherlock Holmes. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Dracula. Oh, I love Dracula. That might be a story we go into too. Um, my morbid stuff that I like. It's very interesting. Keep it up. Do the Disney ghost stories. Ooh, good. I'm gonna keep that in thought. Okay.
I
Disney
can
ghost
also
stories.
talk about if something you guys are interested in is the idea of folk saints because there's like a couple of them that are so cute and adorable. Like there's called so his name is Perro Negro, the black dog.
Okay.
He's classified as a folk saint. He's actually classified as a folk saint to protector of protesters.
Oh, okay. So we could throw that in there. We can
Yeah,
book
I
it
could,
in
I
there.
could talk about any folk saint because I
But if you guys pick anything that's going to take her a while, she's gonna have to let me know because we're gonna have to do part 1, part 2, part 3, and hopefully that's where it
because
stops.
if we do Ed Gwyn, it is going to be probably a 2-parter, maybe even a 3-parter.
Okay, so see that way, if we happen to pick that one and that one does get picked, we'll be like, okay, this is part 1, this is part 2, because our max is 2 hours, and I think we're fixing to hit our 2 hours. Stay away from La Llorona. I won't watch Laugh Out Loud. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I won't talk about her. No, I grew up with her. I ain't talking about her.
Yeah, I'm with her on that. But we'll do 4.
We also live right behind a wash too.
Yeah, we do. That's true.
I'm not
We're not
inviting
gonna
that
deal
bad
with that.
juju in my house.
No, not here. No. So we'll do 4. We'll do 4 on here. I'll do 4 on Facebook, and we will see. And it'll automatically probably share to Instagram because I have them linked. Um, I can also put them on TikTok
Yeah.
to see what people think we should do. I to make sure the car doors are locked. overwashes. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
And we'll do that. I'm kind of interested also in the Bayou Strangler. Also, because just I don't know. I mean, his name Bayou Strangler. Well, why the hell you call him Bayou Strangler? Then you got the one you were just talking about. I'm interested in two, in either one of those. But we'll see. Whoever gets the most votes, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Do the poll. Whoever gets the most votes, we will go from there, and we will see who we do. Then we will announce. I can come on here. So now I have Sundays and Wednesdays off. If we find out by Wednesday who you guys want us to do, or who you want us to talk about, then I will come on Wednesday and do a short live saying, "All right, guys, this person won it. This is who we're going to talk about." It'll be a little,
Yeah.
real short little video that I can do.
Because since you work on Mondays, I
Mm.
can go ahead and either type it up slowly throughout the week and then type it up all Monday morning, so it's all
Yep.
in my head. So if anyone has any questions,
Yep,
it is
it's there.
permanently in the brain.
So yep. So okay. All right, guys, we are, I think, pretty much hitting our 2 hour mark because we started this at what, 4:05? No, not 4:05. That's a lie. I was at the store still.
Yeah.
Around 5.
Yeah.
So, and what time is it?
I don't know.
6:30. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're an hour and a half. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. So now we know how long we can do the longer stories. About an hour and a half, 2 hour max. Thank you, Angela and Thomas, for jumping on here, and Rated Frog. It was good to see you again. Yep, when we get off here, I will finish dinner. I gotta make dinner. I seen a recipe, so we're gonna try it. And then next Monday, we'll have the new story. Wednesday, I will let you guys know who it was that we will be talking about. So enjoy your evening. Thank you all for coming on here. Again, thank you to my moderators. I appreciate you guys very much. Even though nothing happened, it's okay. This was still fun, and it was a good live. I know it's a little dark because I closed the curtain. Um, So love you all. Thank you. Please like, share, like, share, and subscribe. Good God, we're only drinking Sprite. Hey guys,
Promise.
the
You
new
know what?
strawberry kiwi.
You know what? I will next time, if there is something that is mentioned repeatedly, I will make it a drinking game.
Make sure I'm off the next day because I do have to work. Make sure I'm off the next day. Ooh, didn't have to go
boarding on anyone.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Lizzie Borden.
I know about that one. So, all right, guys, love you all. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Monday. I will, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself like a repeater. Let y'all know by Wednesday who we will be discussing and who we'll be talking about. All right, guys. See you later. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Love her too.